I have come across some little known information about Palantir, and boy, this is huge. This all started several weeks ago when I put out my very first Palantir video, and I was just digging into due diligence, trying to understand the company, trying to understand if I wanted to invest or not. Spoiler alert, I invested a decent amount of cash. And in that, I came across something on their Wikipedia page, of all places, that has led me down this multiple week rabbit hole of research and reading through 100-page documents and just trying to find everything I can that pieces these data points together. And I'm happy to announce that I can finally present this now that I have the full picture built out here. So let's just go ahead and hop right in, starting with where this journey started for me on Palantir's Wikipedia page. So I was digging through this on my initial video, just trying to get a basic understanding of the overview of the company, what they have done. And we can see in their history on the 2010 to 2012 section, on June 18th, 2010, Vice President Joe Biden and the Office of Management and Budget Director Peter Orszag held a press conference at the White House announcing the success of fighting fraud of the 2009 stimulus bill. Yes, there was also a stimulus bill back in 2009. But Biden, who was the vice president back then, credited the success of fighting that fraud to a certain software company, Palantir. And this got me thinking, oh, is there a deeper connection between Biden and Palantir? I've never heard of this before because we only hear of the connection between Palantir and Trump. And actually one of the common criticisms that I hear about Palantir is, oh, that was a Trump company. It's going to go down with Biden because Peter Thiel was a Trump supporter, at least in 2016. I don't know if he was so vocal in 2020, but because now Biden's in, Palantir is going to sink. I mean, I've read multiple articles that are like, avoid Palantir now that Biden is in office. So I read this and I was like, maybe there's a connection that most people haven't seen. And luckily with Wikipedia, there's sources on everything. So here's the source, an article titled "The New High-Tech Weapons Against Fraud." But here is the first roadblock that I ran into and has caused so many delays, because if you click on this link, it brings you to the Federal Times, which you would hope would have the article that it's linked to. However, this article has been removed from the internet. I cannot find this anywhere. I am digging for days and days. I email the Federal Times. I try contacting them. I email the author who responds, but then he can't find the article himself. I'm like, what is going on? How can I not find this connection, this article that connects Biden to Palantir? I just want more information here so I can kind of build on this discovery. So finally, I'm like, okay, I just need to keep searching here. I called my local library and I just start searching the title, which I can't find this anywhere. I can find it referenced all over the place. And what I ended up doing was finding this, which has the first two paragraphs of the article, and I searched key phrases within this, and I found someone who had copied and pasted the article. So I actually found this after, I don't even want to tell you how much digging. But anyways, let's take a look at this article. The new high-tech weapons against fraud. When a federal agency checks the General Services Administration's list of suspended or debarred contractors to prevent those companies from getting government work, it's only uncovering one piece of the puzzle. A company can change names and owners, acquiring a new business registration number through the DUNS system, and it appears to the agency that there's an entirely new business. This is an inherent problem with their system. And here's a quote: "If you get debarred from the federal service, all you have to do is ask your wife to open up a company, get a new DUNS number, and you're back in business." Now, the Recovery Board knew that it needed to close these loopholes as it put out that stimulus bill back in 2009 to help stimulate the economy. And we're all very familiar with that now. And it turned out a software platform by Palantir Technologies, no longer based in Palo Alto, helped accomplish that task and was obviously very successful about it, so much so that President Biden, who was then vice president, praised the successes of the platform and how they viewed the data in a more holistic way and were able to draw connections that the government was not able to draw anywhere else. Also, if you enjoy this deep research, make sure you check out the link in my description for Webull, where you can get 2 completely free stocks with a $100 deposit. Plus, you'll be helping out this channel because they will send me a free stock. It's just like a way of saying thanks. You don't have to spend the $100. You get some free stocks. Plus, you could like the video and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. So this was one piece of the puzzle in connecting the Biden administration to Palantir and potential future successes and contracts, because if you aren't aware, Palantir has been contracted with at least 13 different government agencies and makes hundreds of millions of dollars per year from government agencies. So of course, the deeper the connection, the more successful they're going to be in the future. So I wasn't really satisfied with that one connection. I wanted to keep on digging and see just how ingrained is Palantir with the Biden administration. And I have come up with some even more juicy information. Okay, here's the next step. Avril Haines, who is currently the director of national intelligence in the Biden administration. She holds a seat in Biden's cabinet. Now, she's a high-ranking intelligence officer and used to be the deputy director of the CIA. How is she related to Palantir? Well, I was taking a look at some information on her and her bio, and I came across this biography that has been cached because this is no longer discoverable on the internet for whatever reason. And we can see in her affiliations a little company called Palantir. And then some further digging, I found that Palantir paid her $180,000 in consulting fees. However, if you try to search her current records, this is no longer listed on there. So I'm not sure why that is. I'm not trying to pull any conspiracies here, but there is 100% a connection, monetarily even, between Palantir and Avril Haines, who sits on Biden's cabinet. Now, this isn't where this ends. It gets even deeper than this because I was like, okay, how many people are connected to Palantir that are very close to Biden? And, how deep is this connection? So I kept digging a little bit more. I'm looking up various cabinet members and I'm thinking, oh, what about the Vice President Kamala Harris? Let me see if there's any connections there. And this is where a whole nother rabbit hole started. We can see Attorney General Kamala Harris announces Department of Justice joins Innovative Law Enforcement Data Initiative. So it turns out that Kamala Harris is a big fan of using big data in order to solve crimes back when she was working at the state of California as the Attorney General. It says she was joined by nearly 24 local, state, and federal partners today, signed a memorandum of agreement to participate in a first-of-its-kind system that provides law enforcement agencies with a clearinghouse of data on the neighborhoods that they are sworn to protect, as well as extensive links to community-based resources. Quote from Vice President Harris, our goal is to collect the data we need to predict and prevent the next crime. Doesn't that sound kind of similar? Now, this press release doesn't name Palantir directly, so this wasn't satisfying enough. I needed to find a direct connection to Palantir because it sounds like something Palantir does, but there's no name drop there. So I keep on digging. I found this, the state of human trafficking in California. And we can see Kamala Harris back in 2012. And if we go to page 100 of this 134-page document, we find in 2010, this foundation established a task force of various companies that were helping accomplish their goal. And one of those companies in partnership, you guessed it, Palantir. But it gets deeper yet. Next, we have this press release that I actually had to use the Wayback Machine to find because there was no copies anywhere. And this says, California Attorney General Kamala D. Harris announced on Monday the Department of Justice will begin work to develop and implement a statewide data sharing platform that will be accessible at no cost to law enforcement and public safety agencies in all 58 counties. The contract towards achieving this shared goal of improved data sharing in California has been awarded to Enterprise Networking Solutions in partnership with Palantir Technologies. So what does this tell us? This tells us that President Biden has personally complimented Palantir. Members of his cabinets have been closely affiliated with Palantir. His vice president has signed off on contracts awarded to Palantir for work, and she is a big fan of using data to solve problems. Extremely strong signals that point towards the Biden administration and Palantir. And what this means is the odds of Palantir being successful over the term of the Biden administration are that much higher now, which could potentially mean a higher payout for any investor. Now, this isn't investment advice. Take this as you will, but I found it extremely exciting personally as an investor. So if you enjoy this research, make sure you like the video and subscribe for more updates like this. And I would just like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.